Welcome to PNW Prop Stars, the only Seahawks only gambling show on the multiverse. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner, and with me today, I'm joined by the one, the only, the great Brandon Schultz, stepping in for Adam, and down center stage there, if you're watching on YouTube, we have the boy Prince, the Princetonian of parlays himself, Wilson Kahn, back on the West Coast. Wilson's going to the game tomorrow. This is PNW today. Brandon's in off the top rope. Brandon, to you first. How you doing, dude? Thanks for stepping in.
I am happy to step in. The only one who looks more tired than me is Wilson right now.
Yes, well, with good reason.
He's great, buddy.
Thank you. I'm glowing. Like I said, I've got my sparkling energy. I know it's blurred out for a reason. Sparkling energy in hand. It's 11 a.m. somewhere, and away we go. And Wilson, he had to go back from Princeton all the way back to the West Coast to get on a plane tomorrow to go see the Seahawks. And Wilson, still, you're here. And you look good, bud. How you feeling?
Well, I guess I look better than I feel, Clinton. It's pretty early here, but I'm happy to be here. Wouldn't want to wake up this early for much else. So,
wow. I'm touched. Emotionally, physically, and all the other ways I am touched. Well, let's get right to it, boys. It is Thanksgiving week. Let's bring it right up on screen. And what we see here is a failure to communicate from myself and Adam. Adam, minus 10 on the week. I had a good week, plus 5.39. In fact, Adam is JSN red flag away from hitting his third down bet last week. I still kind of think, I don't know. I watched it a couple of times. I still think he caught that ball. I think his foot was down, but I don't know. I've been on vacation. Myself, I was tethered to a Seahawks win. If we get that win, my plus 300 hits and I'm dancing. I'm the winner. But that's not how gambling goes, Brandon. So the boy Prince himself, Wilson Kahn, hits his third down bet. Seattle plus 7.5. And he hits a DK parlay there with the touchdown, with the yards for plus 330. So Wilson makes $32 on the week. He's our champion. Wilson, what else is new, my man? You are a once again champion. Actually, why don't you give an update? I think you have the spreadsheet in front of you. Where are we at for the year so far so we can catch back up?
Well, it's reverse of last season's battle between me and Adam, where I had fewer wins week to week, but had more money. It's the opposite this year. I have 6 wins, but only about $60, whereas Adam has 4 wins and he's at $72.
Wow.
Clinton, unfortunately, you are at negative $16, having only won once.
Yeah, well, that's, things are going to change. I could feel it. That's how it's going to go. And again, we got Brandon in today. We're super excited. Hey, Seahawkers Podcast Network, 5 shows a week, even whilst on vacation for our friends in the UK. It is, and by the way, happy Thanksgiving tomorrow. By the time this is probably in your ears, you'll be listening to this as you get fired up for a full day of football, family, and of course, our Seahawks tomorrow night. So we'll get right into it. Wilson, again, has honors. This is how this works. Like golf rules. He's at the tee box. Bet 1, bet 2, bet 3 are $10 bets. Take anything you want, whatever your heart desires. Bet 4, we call it the Fail Mary for a reason. Plus 1,200 long odds. Nope. Plus 1,200 or longer odds. And it's only $1 bet. So 1/10 the denomination. However, plus 1,200. So Wilson, you're on the tee box. What do you got for bet 1? How do you fix in to get out of the gate and get an early win in this game? What you got?
Well, there's not really much I like in this game from the Seahawks side.
Yeah.
I think the 49ers offense is going to feast on Thanksgiving. Woof. And for that reason, I'm taking Brock Purdy over 266.5 passing yards at plus 135. He's beaten this number 4 games in a row. And I don't really see any reason that we would expect our team to really keep him far under that number.
Okay. So plus 266.5, 4 weeks in a row, plus 135. Did I catch that right? Plus 135. Well, Brandon, let me just toss this to you real quick. Besides Wilson being an absolute traitor who lives in San Francisco and then taking this for the first bet, ruining our vibes. Are we a better, what's up with our defense? Can we shut down the Purdy machine because he's the next coming of Joe Montana?
Well, I can't be too difficult on Wilson because I do have a couple Purdy bets of my own on my list. So I in terms of yards, I mean, what's a guy going to do? Like you can throw for a lot of yards against the Seahawks defense and still lose. I mean, so it's not necessarily a bet against our team to win, but I think there's a way that I envision Purdy getting a lot of yards, and it's through the screen game because even though we have really good corners, I think between Trey Brown and Devin Witherspoon and Reek, like those three are among the tops, but San Francisco knows how to throw out our linebackers, and they know how to throw screens. And it's those two things that I'd worry about. And a way Purdy could rack up a lot of yards.
I unfortunately don't disagree. Hey, this is a Seahawks podcast, so we focus on. However, we're going to be honest about our analysis here, so I can't blame you there, Wilson. I think he stays under, though. If I had to wager one, I think we keep him under. But you're getting a juicy 135 for it, which is nice. Brandon, you really kind of set me up nicely for my first down bet. It is a Niners-focused bet. I've got CMC over 33.5 yards receiving because of what you just said. They'll screen it. They will run wheel routes. It has burnt us before. It's not just an us thing. This is CMC. This is what the Niners do also. But I parlayed that because a 33.5 was like a minus 160 or something like that. But I put up CMC touchdown on there to get me to plus 138 out of the gate because, look, they're not shy about using that guy. He can score everywhere. It's second and goal from the 2, CMC time. It's a wheel route for 32 yards. CMC is who he is, right? So I'm taking the Niners heavy bet as well. I want to say it ain't so. Brandon, are you also going Niners heavy on down one here?
No, but it is related because knowing that we'll see a heavy dose of Christian McCaffrey, knowing that Devin Witherspoon is always in every play, I'm taking Devin Witherspoon minus 105 for over 5.5 combined solo and assisted tackles.
I like that. I like some Spoon. That guy he is everywhere you want to be. So over 5.5 combined, which I also like that because, it takes a little bit of that weird subjectivity. It's like, cool, he gets that extra kicker there.
You don't have to worry about, does he have 4 solo and, 2 assisted? Like, you just combine them together and it seems like he'll be in on so many plays that he'll get to 6.
He's the man. It was minus 105?
Minus 105.
Minus 105.
105.
Right. Yeah. Freedom isn't free. All right, Wilson. What do you think about that Spoon, man? Before I take my second down bet, you got anything with Spoon cooking today?
No, I don't, but I like it. My initial reaction was it's a pretty big number for a corner, but yeah, as you guys were mentioning, he's everywhere, and unlike Reek Willen, he can tackle, he can hit somebody. So yes, I don't mind that one.
Reek can go.
I didn't see a Reek Willen what would it be? 1.5 missed tackles, because that would be kind of tempting.
That wasn't on there. All right, I'm going to change the vibes right here, right now. I'm up on my second down bet. I'm also going tackles. I'm ripping a page out of the Adam book. Wilson, you've taken this a couple times as well, but Adam's been kind of the pioneer here for the tackle bets, and Spoon's involved in mine as well. So I've got a little combination: Wags over 5.5 solo, Spoon over 3.5 solo. I like what you did to get to 5.5, Brandon, but I put those together and I get a little bit more spicy, plus 160. Knowing the way the Niners, and the why is like, well, the Niners like to go short game. So if they're going short game and you got a guy at the line in Spoon and Wags is just doing Wags things, he probably ends up with a bajillion tackles anyway and just keeps on doing Wags things. The Spoon part may be a bit riskier, but at plus 160, willing to put that down on the plate and spin the wheel there. Brandon, picking up what you put down, but what do you think of my iteration?
Yeah, well, and I think I just said 4 solo tackles for Spoon, so that fits right into that. And it is so hard. Thank you. That's going to be, I think, the one that if you get tripped up on this, it's going to be on the Spoon side over the Bobby side.
Yeah, I think so too. And at plus 160, I can live with the trip. I think I'll be okay with it. All right, Brandon, why don't you take second down, and we'll loop back up to Wilson for his. But why don't you go?
Well, continuing on the tackle train, I am going to Jordan Brooks for the Seahawks because, again, I think that a lot of short stuff, a lot of runs with McCaffrey, a lot of stuff over the middle with the 49ers offense That's where Jordan Brooks is going to be. Combined solo and assisted tackles over 8.5 plus 103.
Okay, I mean 8.5. He's everywhere. Wilson, is this a thing where it's kind? I mean, I know it is actually zero sum. So if there's more Bobby, and there likely is less Brooks and all that jazz. But in this game, is there enough tackling by our linebackers to go around to satiate these bets? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think there will be any shortage of tackling. I mean, you can criticize me for taking Purdy as an anti-Seahawks bet, but I think we all know deep down taking the Seahawks to get a lot of tackles in this game is in a similar vein. The defense is going to be spending a lot of time on the field, so...
It's a pro Seahawks cornerback bet. The Niners are going to have to attack the linebackers, and that's what they'll do. They'll have to run the ball and attack the linebackers in the passing game.
Yeah, it was funny. I was going to ask. I was like, are we going to get through two bets where we don't really have a pro offensive Seahawks, prop or anything on the stage? So that means Wilson, second down bet. Are we? You got to answer that for us.
No, I'm parlaying a little bit of the Purdy action here in favor of the Seahawks, though, for part of the bet. So I'm just going to take him to get over 250. It's a little bit of a lower number. And also throw a pick. And that's at 216. I'm tired of seeing, we were talking about this before the show, I'm tired of seeing all the just absolute, gold jacketification of Brock Purdy. They're already putting him in the Ring of Honor, all this crap. Time for him to get exposed, at least a little bit. I think he'll still rack up the yardage, but he makes bad decisions and he gets bailed out time and time again. I don't think he'll get bailed out every time in this game.
Yeah, Adam calls it out basically weekly. The Tampa Bay game, I didn't watch it, finally. It was on a different screen where I was at. And it looked like a pretty clean game, but every other game, he's just making these throws that are like, oh, that's a turnover-worthy play, right? So Brandon, do we get the Brock Purdy interception? I guess what's the head say? What's the heart say?
Yeah, I feel like that is possible, especially if he starts feeling himself and maybe taking some chances toward later in the game. The place that I worry about it is just, and maybe it's also a place where it makes it more likely is because I think one of the reasons why the Seahawks don't throw a ton over the middle is because it introduces that opportunity to intercept more passes. Something gets tipped up, it's thrown a little bit behind a receiver. There's a lot of bodies in the middle of the field. So, and that's where Purdy likes to attack. So I think that the chances are greater going against the Seahawks defense than like going against the Bucs defense, for instance.
Yeah, a little Kenny Loggins, a little danger zone. It's where he likes to throw the ball. However, with that, Brandon, footloose, fancy free for you on third down. What do you got?
On third down, I am going a combined parlay between the two quarterbacks. I got Brock Purdy and Geno Smith, both passing touchdowns over 1.5 for a nice little 275 plus 275.
All right. I've been waiting for a girl like you, Brandon, to come into my life here because I really want Geno to have a 2-touchdown game again. It's like we get these stretches where, and he's scoring early. We get a first drive thingy to DK or second drive. We're looking good. We're out of the gate. Waldron, we're humming. Geno looks good. And then Stall City. We hit the Scablands here. So it was plus 275. So Wilson, I know that Purdy basically does this every single week because he just does. He gets 2 touchdowns a lot. Does Geno get
your gold jacket?
Yeah, that's it. Does Geno get there, though, Wilson? What do you think?
I don't know that he does. He's had 2 games this year with multiple touchdowns.
Yikes.
And that's hard to believe, but yeah, I don't know. I hope
you're in for a terrible day, Wilson, because they're not getting in through the ground. So they're going to have to get it into the end zone somehow. And it's going to be Geno throwing the football.
I actually misread this. He has 4 games with multiple touchdowns, but still.
Okay. That's a little bit better,
Under
but
half.
Still not. Yeah. Better, not great, right? It doesn't mean good, just means better. But that is better. That's double the first point of analysis. All right, we are up on your third down. Wilson back to the top. And, I'm just was assuming at this point that you have a Wilson 300 cooked up. And let's hear it.
Well, it's true. The Seahawks offense is so bad at this point that if you want to take them to score over 24.5 points, you can get 340. I think for the Seahawks to win this game, they're going to have to score more into that high 20s range. I don't think the defense is bad. It's just the 49ers run a really efficient offense. And, the last time we played them, they absolutely exposed us. I mean, it was a beatdown in the playoffs last year. It's the same team. I think they're going to score fairly easily. So, yeah, this is more of a hoping against hope bet. But
so Seahawks more than 20, basically 25 points or higher, get you to plus 340, right? Okay, well, you know what? Like, I think we're going to have to score at least that many to win this game. So I mean, I'm at least emotionally in to this bet in a big way. I think we can. In fact, I know we can. We just need to execute a full game, but we shall see. All right, I do have my third down bet here. Not quite as spicy. What I like is JSN to go over 50 yards at plus 155. And there's a couple of reasons I like this. His number's at 38.5 at like minus numbers. All right. So I don't think that's too huge of a leap. He's gone three of his last 5 over 50. And last game, he is a toe drag or whatever you want to call it away 2 times from doing it again. He had 2 plays taken away from what I remember. I remember the one down the sideline for sure, where he would have smashed 50 again. You take out Hufanga and you look at what the Niners are against slot receivers. It's a mixed bag. It's not to say it's always good or always bad. It's a mixed bag. They have allowed some slot guys to eat. I expect where last week I had a big DK game going, and for the most part, I'm a field goal away from being really, really right on that one. I think JSN has not the breakout game, not the 80-yard, 2-touchdown game, but a good game. 5-6 completions, 50-plus yards at plus 155. And at that number, I'm pretty darn happy to take it. So, Brandon, that's a true, just offensive Seahawks bet. So was Wilson's. Do you think between the two, which one, if you had to put a chip on one of them, which one would you take?
I think I like the JSN bet a little bit more because I think the way to attack the 49ers defense, we'll see a lot of those quick out passes to JSN that they like to run. The blocking has been generally good on those, and they use that as a way to, instead of running the football, they throw out that play on first down to try and pick up some big yardage. That's a way for him to definitely rack up catches. Not a great way to get yards, but then you only have to count on maybe one big play downfield to balance that out and then to hit your yardage.
And that's exactly what it would have been last week if and again, I still think he had that first foot down before it came up, but that's neither here nor there. All right, we are back to the top. We're at the Fail Mary plus 1,200 or longer odds, the $1, the Sunday rubber, the Sunday scratcher. Wilson, you will be there. What will you be cheering for in person to go at least plus 1,200?
Wilson's on mute.
The Fail Mary, is always an opportunity to sort of just go for something a little bit fun, maybe something a little bit exciting that you want to happen. There's not really usually a lot of evidence to support a Fail Mary, but we like it that way. So I was still looking at the Seahawks team points over, and would you believe that these 2 picks would get you to 1,700 odds in this game? That just shows you where the team is at right now.
Careful, let's hear it. Careful.
The Seahawks to score over 27.5.
Okay.
And to win by 1-6. And that is 1,700. That is depressing to me that's a 1,700, but I'm taking it.
You know what? Like, I don't see us blowing them out. I just don't, right? So the 1-6 part feels good. And if we're going to win, well, heck, I think we got to get up to kind of where you're speaking. So I could groove on that logic at least. And hey, plus 1,700. Very nice. An homage to Dave Craig in its own right. Brandon, why don't you take the next Fail Mary, sir?
Yeah, on that line, I kind of looked in that direction too. And one thing jumped out at me as far as not for something to me to pick, but I look at, especially for the 1,200, you want to look at some of the scores, like for the 49ers to be tied at halftime and then win at full time, it's plus 1,150, which is kind of crazy to me. Like that for them to tie, I don't know. It seems, like a team that we would play close, and I wouldn't want to touch that bet. It's one that jumped out at me. Use that how you want. The one that I picked this based on if something bad's going to happen and it's going to bother me, I at least would like to benefit from it. And that is those annoying Christian McCaffrey screen passes. And McCaffrey for 104 receiving yards was plus 1,900. I'm throwing $1 in it.
Well, that's stranger things have happened, right? We talked about on the What If preview show. My one thing that we had to stop was the free runner play, where they get a wheel route that's like, and nobody's covering them, or it's a seam route to Kittle and nobody's covering them. We've had these very recently, so it'll stink, but I understand why you're taking it because we are playing a game here. So 104 yards of receiving, correct? Receiving?
Yeah. And, he hasn't hit that at all this year.
Sure,
and I would prefer that it stays that way. It's just that, he's had some big games. Well, he's consistently around 50 to 70 yards. And then if that one big play happens, like you mentioned, then I guess I get benefit from it somehow. Yeah,
we're crying in our biscuits and our gravy if that happens, but it certainly could happen. So not a terrible Fail Mary at all. I'm going to harken back. I talked about this on What If. I said, look, we need the Clowney-like performance that we got in 2019 versus at that point an undefeated Niners team where we came in, they played Thursday night. It was in. Actually, I think that was in San Francisco because I was looking back.
I was there.
Oh, there you go. They were in the white uniforms. Yeah. So that was in San Francisco. So even more tilted in our favor. But Clowney dominated. And I'm like, hey, we need Spoon to have that kind of day. We were like, holy crap. And what happened in that game was Niners still scored 14 points in the fourth quarter to put it into overtime. And we win in overtime with like nothing left on the clock. So plus 1,300. Thanksgiving, just a instant classic overtime W for our boys. If it goes to OT, we're at plus 1,300. I think as Seahawks fans, given the state of the state, we'd all sign right now to say, okay, go to overtime and let's see what happens. Why not with this team? So plus 1,300, just spicy enough to put into our tea and enjoy. So boys, I'll be enjoying. I'm still down on Siesta Key for the remainder until flying home Friday. Gonna have some friends and family over and watching that game together. Wilson, you'll be in the stadium. Enjoy, my man. Brandon, you've been sounds like chessboarding it with your family, making sure that everybody knows. So what's the deal? Are you going to eat before? Are you going to eat after? Has that been sussed yet?
Eating before, it worked out to where a bunch of my family is gathering in a different spot, so it doesn't have some of the overlap that I was initially concerned about. So in some of that way, it's been resolved. I will find a way to watch Seahawks football on Thanksgiving.
I knew you might. I will say, I know you're not going to have the traditional Thanksgiving feast because you'll be on the road. However, if you were, favorite side dish, what is it?
Oh, it's so hard. It's quite a challenge, but for me, if we can count dessert, I love pumpkin pie. I think pumpkin pie is probably my favorite. If we're not counting dessert, I'm a big mashed potatoes guy.
Those are both winners. Those are fantastic. Pumpkin pie is delicious. Brandon, favorite side dish, if you had to load up on it, or if that's all you can have, what's the one you're going to?
Oh, if it's I'm with Wilson, I load up on mashed potatoes, but if I could only have one, I would go with the stuffing and gravy over the mashed potatoes and gravy.
I suppose they are different questions when you boil it down. You're not wrong. For me, I'm a biscuit guy. I love the biscuits. I will say that I got to have butter with it. That's just a combo package. So the biscuit, the butter as the side dish, not as a standalone though, but I make little sandwiches. That's what I do, little sliders. So I'll make a plethora of sliders, and boys, we will slide into this amazing Thanksgiving. Wilson, safe travels. Have a ton of fun. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Brandon, have fun in Montana. Happy Thanksgiving to you. And boys, I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.